let's talk maybe about your team. You've 14 years, you've had a number of executives on the team, and of course, as the company has scaled, you brought in different people. Um, at the early stage, like I'm saying, this Uber conference period of time, what was it that you looked for in someone that you were hiring? Like, what was the number one attribute back then that you were looking for?
Ooh, great question. I'd say, and it's kind of hard to tell. But like grit more than anything, because like you were those early days at a company, you're underfunded. You have these big ambitions. You're not going to build like when you bring in an executive, you're not going to build a big team for them. They're not going to bring in an army of folks they've worked with in the past. They have to be able to do stuff themselves too. And they have to be gritty. They got to be scrappy and they got to care about the right things. Which is literally the customers and the coworkers. Um, and, and there's these gems, man. Like, and we got these gems. Like if I look at our first 10 employees, 8 of them are still here 14 years later. Like that's pretty impressive, right? Like the people who built the foundational stuff, the first database ever built, the first product, the first soft switch, the first anything, those folks are still here with their fingers all over it. And they're now running massive teams and you know, they're, they've evolved as well. But we would have never got here if we weren't scrappy and had a lot of grit and had a lot of kind of like just like a common desire to shake things up and to go after this legacy boring industry and really try to make it interesting. Um, but they're needles in the haystack. They're
Hmm.
needles in the haystack. And like the only reason we found one guy who used to work with me at Grand Central, which got bought by Google and became Google Voice. When we got bought by Google, he went to YouTube. And then at YouTube, he met these two guys and kind of like rebels, kind of like, thought the company was too big, didn't like people telling them what to do, wanted to just go do interesting stuff. And so he snagged those two rebels and they joined us. And then Wesley Chan on our, from Google Ventures got us this insanely great guy out of Microsoft who, again, super talent, but inside of a big company that's just kind of
Hmm.
sucking the life out of them. And then they come to a place like this where they're given just a ton of freedom, not a ton of scaffolding, but a ton of freedom. And it's really liberating for the right folks.
And now the stage you're at, 1,300 people, growing like crazy, big company. What is it that you look for now? And I guess probably at this point you're only hiring the execs. Like, what is it that you're looking for now?
Yeah, for me on the execs now, it's less of that scrappiness. I can learn it on the fly type of a thing, and more of I've seen this before. Because you do want to you don't want to just make want people to be making mistakes of like not mistakes of like, hey, this this might make sense. Let's try it. It's nice to have some pattern recognition. It's nice to have real experience. Um, and there's a that doesn't mean they have the right answers, or it doesn't mean what they've done before will work here, but it does give them like a point of reference to come from,
Hmm.
and that experience is important. And it's a tough balance because you don't want to just you don't want to load up with a bunch of end of career type folks either who may have lost the spark or the spring in the step. So you got to find the people who are still fired up to get out of bed in the morning, still fired up on the mission, still, excited about the ability that will give them a lot of creativity to do stuff, but hopefully actually have some experience in having
Hmm.
done it.
And can see around the corners, right? I mean,
Right.
basically, yeah.
Right. And I think, like when you see companies grown, we've been similar, there's turnover of executives. We've had multiple CMOs, we've had multiple CROs, and that's to a degree kind of like the level of experience or headroom that each kind of gets to. And at a certain stage, you want someone who has a lot more experience and understands a lot more about the details of marketing versus at an earlier stage, the creativity is probably more important,
Hmm.
right? So it's like it's finding the right folks for the stage you're at as well.